Some UK supermarkets are charging more for worse food, and if you buy your weekly shop without checking, you are probably already paying the price. We proved it. After analysing every major chain, the worst performers were not the cheapest, they were the most trusted. These are the 7 UK supermarkets you are better off avoiding, and the one almost everyone gets wrong. Number 7. Iceland. The frozen food empire built on convenience. Iceland has long marketed itself as the saviour of the family budget. Affordable, accessible, and stocked with freezer staples that stretch a weekly shop further than most. The adverts show happy families, the prices look unbeatable. But when you look closer at what fills those freezers, the picture becomes far less reassuring. Iceland is heavily built around frozen, ready-to-heat, ultra-processed food. A large share of the store is designed for convenience over ingredient quality. Walk through any Iceland and count how many products contain ingredient lists you cannot pronounce. It is easy to fill a basket cheaply, but very hard to build a genuinely clean weekly shop without being pushed toward engineered meals and sauces loaded with emulsifiers, stabilizers, and artificial flavorings. In 2024, Iceland ranked at the bottom of the Pesticide Action Network UK supermarket ranking. The organisation found that Iceland is the only major UK supermarket without lists of pesticides that are monitored, restricted, or banned from use in their supply chains due to potential harm. Instead, the company only takes action when a pesticide has already been banned by national regulators. Every other major retailer goes further. Iceland also takes no measures to protect agricultural workers handling toxic pesticides in its supply chains. There is also the matter of how Iceland promotes food to families. The children's food campaign named Iceland as one of the worst offenders for displaying junk food at checkouts. Over 80% of their checkouts featured displays of unhealthy food or drink, pushing impulse purchases toward children and parents already navigating tight budgets. When contacted about their checkout marketing policy, Iceland either declined to respond or offered no comment. And then there is the horse meat scandal. In 2013, laboratories in Ireland and Germany found equine DNA in some Iceland products. The chief executive at the time sparked controversy by dismissing the Irish testing standards on national television, with a comment many found offensive. He later apologised, but the episode exposed exactly how fragile supply chain oversight can be. The brand promises food you can trust. The reality has quietly drifted in a very different direction. But Iceland's problem is product quality. The next supermarket on this list fails in a completely different way. Number 6. Co-op. The supermarket built on community values that forgot about value. Co-op positions itself as ethical and community-focused, with a history rooted in fair trade, British sourcing, and supporting local causes. Walk into a co-op and you will see messaging everywhere about doing the right thing. Fair trade logos, community fund posters, reassuring words about responsibility. But when you look at the till receipt, something does not add up. Co-op's everyday food pricing's consistently among the highest for what you actually get. Many core products cost significantly more than identical alternatives elsewhere, often without better ingredient quality to justify it. In 2022, Consumer Watchdog, which named Co-op the worst supermarket in the UK for the second year running, with a customer score of just 61%, shoppers described the chain as expensive, always crowded, and with long queues at checkout. The polling was not an outlier. It reflected what people had been saying quietly for years. The defence often given is that co-op stores are smaller, with higher operating costs and fewer economies of scale. That is technically true, but customers paying premium prices in communities with no alternative deserve more than structural excuses. The irony is sharp and painful. Co-op markets itself as the ethical choice, the store that genuinely cares about people. Yet in rural and isolated areas where it is often the only option, it charges prices that lower-income households simply cannot sustain week after week. The same ethical branding that attracts loyal customers is undercut by the reality of what those customers are asked to pay. Reviews paint a consistent picture: sudden hikes in prices on regular items, shelf prices that do not match the till, produce close to or past its sell-by date with alarming regularity. One reviewer noted that older customers in particular are often caught out by pricing discrepancies. Co-op may still do good work elsewhere, with its community fund and charitable initiatives. That is not ethics, that is exploitation wearing a friendly face. But co-op is a pricing problem. The next supermarket shows what happens when decline sets in from the inside. Number 5. Morrisons. The traditional supermarket quietly becoming something else. Morrisons was once the pride of British grocery, a family-founded chain from Bradford that prided itself on fresh counters, in-store butchers, and a connection to the food it sold. For decades, it stood apart from the corporate slickness of its rivals, offering something more genuine. But that version of Morrison's is increasingly hard to find. Since being acquired by private equity firm Clayton Dubilier and Rice in 2021, Morrison's has struggled badly. Market share has declined steadily. In September 2022, it lost its place as the fourth largest supermarket to Aldi. By January 2025, its share had fallen to just 8.6%, behind Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and Aldi. And it is not just the numbers, it is the product itself. Morrison's still carries the image of a traditional supermarket, but over time many own brand ranges have shifted toward cheaper formulations. Budget sauces, ready meals, and processed meats make up a growing part of shelf space, while quality consistency varies heavily by store. What you get in one branch may be very different from another. Consumer feedback tells the story. Reports of disorganized shelves, stock carts abandoned in aisles, and produce that looks, in the words of one reviewer, a bit grotty. The freezers are sometimes frozen shut. In other stores, they are dripping wet, with cardboard packaging falling apart. One customer said the fruit and veg goes off quickly, or is already off. Another found a foreign object in a Morrison's own brand lasagna and received little meaningful response from customer service, despite repeated attempts. In March 2024, a Which survey found that 33% of UK shoppers had noticed a decline in food quality over the previous 2 years. Of those who noticed, 44% specifically cited supermarket-owned brand food. Morrison's was one of the most frequently named retailers in the complaints. There is still something worth salvaging here. Morrison's led the way on free-range eggs. It publishes its pesticide testing results openly. Its roots are real, but the direction of travel is troubling. A traditional name is no guarantee of traditional standards. And if Morrison's continues to hollow out what made it different, it risks becoming just another name in a race to the bottom. Asda is already deep into that race. If you're learning something new here, hit subscribe and keep these eye-opening breakdowns coming. Number 4. Asda, the supermarket built on scale and on shortcuts. Asda was once the working-class hero of British grocery, the place families turned to when the budget was tight and every pound mattered. That image still holds, at least on the surface, but underneath it, the value proposition starts to unravel in ways most shoppers never notice. Asda is built on scale and low headline prices, but much of that value is achieved through heavy product optimization. Many popular Asda foods rely on diluted bases, sweeteners, flavor systems, and texture agents to hit price points while keeping taste addictive. The result is food engineered to feel like a deal while cutting corners you are not supposed to notice. The price looks right. The ingredient list tells a different story. In 2012, Asda launched its Smart Price range, the descendant of earlier budget lines. Today it trades as Just Essentials after Waitrose raised trademark concerns over the name similarity. The branding changed. The formulations did not. Value ranges at every supermarket make compromises, but Asda often takes those compromises further than competitors. Cheaper fats, more additives, shorter ingredient quality lists that still manage to include things a home cook would never use. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Asda was named alongside Iceland and Morrison's as one of the worst offenders for promoting junk food at checkouts. Over 80% of their tills featured displays of unhealthy snacks and drinks, positioned to trigger impulse buys, often at child eye level. When challenged on their checkout marketing policy, Asda either declined to comment or offered no explanation whatsoever. Asda's recent years have not been smooth. Ownership changed hands. The Issa brothers and TDR Capital took over in 2021, promising investment and growth. What followed was cost pressure, staff reductions, and a growing perception that the in-store experience had declined. Customer reviews cite long queues, stock shortages, and fresh produce that does not live up to even modest expectations. This is the trade-off Asda rarely admits. You can buy cheap, but what you are buying is not always what you think. Headline prices distract from what is actually in the product. And when convenience and value are both manufactured rather than earned, the question is whether you are saving money or just deferring the cost to your health. Tesco takes that question and scales it to the entire country. Number 3. Tesco, the giant that shapes what Britain eats. Tesco is not just a supermarket, it is the supermarket. With a market share of over 28%, it holds more influence over what British families put in their trolleys than any other single company. That power comes with responsibility, but it also creates enormous temptation to prioritise profit over product. Tesco dominates UK food retail, which gives it enormous influence over what people eat. While it has good premium lines like Tesco Finest, The majority of baskets are filled from standard and budget ranges. Those ranges are often some of the most aggressively cost-engineered foods on the market, stripped back to the minimum that still qualifies as the product it claims to be. In the 1990s, Tesco launched its value range with cans of beans for 3p and loaves of bread for 7p. The branding has changed several times since then. Everyday value, then a suite of fake brands like Hearty Food Co., Stockwell & Co., Ms. Molly's, and Eastman's. These tertiary brands are designed to look like independent products, but they are all Tesco. They exist to disguise the value tier, to make it feel less like compromise and more like choice. The psychology is deliberate. That is not inherently wrong, but it raises a question. If the goal is to offer affordable food with dignity, why hide what it is? And if the quality is genuinely good, why rebrand it at all? The answer may be that the quality is not something they want examined too closely. Tesco has faced scrutiny before. In 2013, it was caught up in the horse meat scandal, with equine DNA found in some of its beef products. In 2022, the Advertising Standards Authority banned Tesco adverts for misleading environmental claims about its plant-based range. In March 2024, it faced significant criticism for delaying a promised pay rise, leaving staff earning below minimum wage for nearly a month, reportedly saving the company over £17 million in the process. And then there is the sheer scale of what Tesco controls. With its wholesale arm Booker, it supplies thousands of independent shops and convenience stores across the country. Some critics have accused it of undercutting competitors through Tesco stores while charging higher prices in wholesale. That kind of leverage shapes not just what people buy, but what is even available to buy in communities everywhere. Tesco is not the worst supermarket on this list, but it is the biggest. And with that size comes a responsibility to lead, not just to dominate. The next supermarket proves that size is not the only way to mislead shoppers. Number 2, Sainsbury's, the premium feeling without the premium product. Sainsbury's occupies a strange middle ground in British grocery. It is not a discounter, it is not Waitrose, it sits somewhere in between, offering stores that look slightly more polished, branding that feels slightly more upmarket, and prices that quietly creep toward the higher end without much justification. Sainsbury's feels higher end, but many everyday products sit in an awkward middle ground. Prices often approach premium territory, while ingredient quality frequently matches mainstream mass market food. You often pay for branding and atmosphere more than what is actually inside the product. The experience feels expensive, the contents often are not. In September 2023, which found that Sainsbury's had become the most expensive supermarket for a large trolley of groceries, more expensive even than Waitrose, for customers who did not use a Nectar card. The gap was not small. Sainsbury's cost over £33 more than Asda for the same. Shop. For families watching every pound, that difference is not trivial. That pricing gap would be understandable if the quality matched. But in many cases, it simply does not. The Sainsbury's Basics range, for instance, uses minimal packaging with orange and white designs. It looks like a value product. It often costs more than equivalents at Asda, Tesco and Morrison's, yet the formulations are rarely better, sometimes worse. Customer feedback tells a consistent story across platforms. Overpriced products, inconsistent stock, shelf labels that do not match till prices, produce with unusually short shelf life. In some cases, products pass their best before date still sitting on shelves, waiting to be discovered by unlucky shoppers. Reviews cite 1 star after 1 star, with recurring complaints about service, value, and a pervasive sense that Sainsbury's has somehow lost its way. The Nectar loyalty scheme adds another layer of complexity. Prices for non-members are often inflated to make the loyalty discount look more impressive than it actually is. That forces shoppers to hand over their data just to access prices that should be standard for everyone. Sainsbury's is not a bad supermarket. It has good stores and committed staff in many locations. But when the perception of quality is consistently higher than the reality, and the prices reflect the perception rather than the product, you end up paying for an experience that exists more in branding than in substance. Spar is where that gap becomes impossible to ignore. Number 1, Spar, the convenience trap disguised as a local shop. If any name on this list deserves the top spot, it is Spar. Not because it is the biggest supermarket in Britain, not because it is the most powerful, but because it consistently delivers some of the worst value in UK retail, while trading on the illusion of being a friendly neighbourhood store that cares about your community. Spar stores vary widely, but as a chain they are consistently among the worst for value. High prices, small pack sizes, and limited competition mean everyday items are often far more expensive than supermarket equivalents, while the food selection leans heavily toward packaged and ultra-processed options. Fresh produce is often an afterthought, if it exists at all. The reason is structural. Spar operates as a franchise model. Individual store owners buy from wholesalers and set their own prices with minimal oversight. That means there is no central price control, no competitive pressure from head office, and in many communities, absolutely no alternative. Spar knows exactly where to open. Villages, suburbs, and isolated areas where the nearest supermarket is miles away. Once they are in, they charge what they want because they can. Consumer sentiment is brutal. Reviews describe Spar as a rip-off, outright price gouging, and insanely overpriced. Direct comparisons show bread costing nearly double what it would at Tesco or Aldi. Baked beans costing more than twice the price. One reviewer noted that even the street pigeons have higher standards than to eat what Spar offers. Another said they drive past Spar entirely just to avoid the awfulness of the experience. And then there is the quality. Reports of products past their sell by date still sitting on shelves. Resealed multi-packs with missing items inside. Staff shortages and long waits at the till. Prices that do not match shelf labels. The consistency is not in the experience. It is in the complaints. Spar positions itself as essential, a lifeline for communities that have nowhere else to turn. And in some ways that is true, but a lifeline should not come at the cost of exploitation. Families in isolated areas, pensioners without transport, and people on tight budgets should not be charged more simply because they have no other choice available. If any supermarket in Britain embodies the gap between image and reality, between branding and actual behaviour, it is Spar. And until that changes, it belongs exactly where it is, at the very top of this list. The best, Lidl, the supermarket that proves it does not have to be this way. Lidl arrived in Britain in 1994 and spent years being dismissed as a discount oddity, a place people joked about but rarely admitted to visiting. That perception has changed completely. Today, Lidl is not just accepted by British shoppers, it is actively winning their loyalty. Lidl consistently outperforms most UK supermarkets on three things at once: price, simplicity, and ingredient structure. Its core ranges rely less on endless product variants and more on streamlined supply chains that keep things moving. Fresh categories turn over quickly. Own brand lines are tightly controlled for quality, and many products avoid the extreme formulation tactics seen in big, multi-range supermarkets. You can actually read the ingredient lists without a chemistry degree. In 2024, Lidl was named Grocer of the Year at the Retail Week Awards. Kantar data showed it as the fastest growing bricks and mortar supermarket for 6 consecutive months, the only grocer to achieve double-digit growth since the start of the year. Its UK market share continues to climb steadily, while legacy chains struggle to hold ground against a relentless discounter pressure. The model is built on efficiency. Fewer product lines means smaller stores, lower overheads, and faster stock turnover. Products are displayed in cardboard boxes rather than elaborate shelving that costs money to maintain. Staff are cross-trained to work multiple roles across the store. The savings are passed directly to the customer rather than absorbed into corporate margins. Which analysis in 2024 confirmed that Lidl was the second cheapest supermarket every single month of the year, just behind Aldi by an average of under £2. For shoppers using the Lidl Plus app, the gap narrows even further with personalised coupons, instant discounts, and scratch card rewards. But price is not the only story worth telling here. Lidl's in-store bakery, made fresh throughout the day, has become one of the most praised in UK retail. Its deluxe range offers premium products at prices that consistently undercut mid-tier supermarket equivalents. Independent taste tests repeatedly rate Lidl products as equal to or better than more expensive competitors from established chains. This does not make Lidl perfect. Stores can be cramped and chaotic, queues can be long and cashiers famously fast. The middle aisle chaos of random non-food items is absolutely real. But across the UK market, Lidl is one of the few chains where everyday shopping's genuinely less stacked toward overpaying and overprocessing. When a supermarket proves that quality and affordability can coexist, it forces a question onto everyone else. If Lidl can do it, why can the others not?